lane. That was the fire chief's preference. And also, we can still get good access to fighting fires from the street, but with the sprinkler system, the fire suppression will be enhanced. The second issue is the trail system. The trail system is not being disturbed. I have visited with Mr. Andy Crone, the developer on the project. When the bids are taken out on the construction, we'll take a look at trying to work with the contractor to see what the cost of relocating the trail may be. If it's within reason, we'll relocate the trail. Otherwise, we'll try to work out an easement, temporary easement with Mr. Crone to keep the trail there until they decide to move ahead in subsequent phases of the development. Street lights, the locations, I didn't get to specifics, but I think that'd be subject to my review, make sure that the height of the standards and the type of fixtures is basically the lights going straight down so it's not flooding the residential area. So those are the three issues. Mr. Roger Humphrey's here tonight to explain the project any further. If you have any questions, but I think we had a pretty good conversation about it at the concept plan review. Fred?
One question for you, Denny. You just in your comments here, is the city trail on some of their property?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it's been understood that the city will relocate it.
Okay.
But it may not. In conversation with Mr. Crone, we discussed that if it's not necessary to relocate it immediately, if we can work out a temporary easement, that we would do that.
Thank you.
We didn't have an easement for that?
Well, I think that was, well, the sale of the property ended up being a little bit of a different situation. I think when we did that, we thought the trail was off of the property, so as an oversight, but regardless, it's on the property, and we'll either get an easement or it will be relocated.
Okay.
Must be the section here.
Will there be a opportunity for the fire truck to be able to drive through there, or will there be obstructions? It may not be, I know it won't be paved or anything, but can a fire truck get through there if it need be, or not? Probably not needed?
And on a seasonal basis, when it's dry, there's no snow on the ground, yes.
Okay, but it won't be maintained.
That's a possibility, but they won't be a plowed, paved driveway surface.
All right. Anyone else have any questions? Yes.
Did we talk parking last time, or is that a
Well,
different
a little bit. I did visit with Mr. Crone about that. He's open to discussing where public parking would be made available, but also if the fire access lane not being there would be opportunities right off of Orange Street for parking too, that, maybe we can work with Mr. Crone.
Okay.
See if we could put some kind of temporary surface there that actually we're there, they wouldn't have to park right in the parking lot, but it'd be on Orange Street. And that actually might be a better solution to that issue. But otherwise, the issue of whether Mr. Crone would be willing to allow the use of the parking lot during weekends, that'd be up to him. But he seemed to be open to that issue.
So would there be some sort of signage indicating?
Yeah, we'd have to sign it, so, hopefully, so that people that would be using it would be keeping it maintained.
Right.
And neat, and there might be some cooperative effort there between the city and the developer, that, if our park system was down there and maintenance, that we might go through there quickly and clean anything up. So there's some number of options available to us.
I think it might make some sense that, for his other business in town, maybe his employees could park down in that area.
On the weekends and-
Sure. So that frees up a lot of, I think that's more palatable than, it's private property, and I'm not sure that we need to have a private, require them to have public access, but it'd be nice if it's available.
Right.
One last question. I see this infiltration pond. Is that, and it's on their property, is that of any concern to anything, any safety issues, anything like that, or?
No, the depth of it is, basically
5
it's
feet.
infiltration, and it'll hold water for Roger might want to get into some of the detail of that. You know, it may retain water for a short period of time.
48 hours probably.
Yeah.
Typically. It's got a drawdown pipe on it. It kind of functions as a rate control pond. And also, we're trying to infiltrate as much water as possible. It's just the best management practices. DNR, all that kind of looks at that way. And so we really try to do our best, you know, considering its location and everything else. And it will draw down pretty quick.
I was just thinking, if I was a kid, you know, I'd be right in that thing, I'd be right in the middle of it, so that's why I asked the question.
I think there's going to be some taller plantings that will start to, you know, decorative type. I think it can, in the end, it can look pretty good. The only thing I wanted to kind of add on the fire suppression system that we proposed to put in there, it, you know, future-wise, it'll give us a lot more flexibility, I think, too.
Roger, could you step up to the mic so the folks in the TV audience can
It'll give us the
hear?
ability to expand parking possibly as well, because when we laid out the infiltration pond, we kind of put the fire lane in between it, and I think, you know, there's future development on the south side that potentially could happen with that one building. We'd have to come back, and when we'd come back, there might be some other opportunities that can be discussed about, but that would mean potentially more parking and another building facility. And
Okay. Any other questions? Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second?
And I'll second.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Next item is discussion and possible development plans, stage line duplex community, 9 two-family residential units, 483 Stage Line Road, Richard Stout.
Yeah, Richard Stout and Matt Heeb, the consulting engineer, are here tonight. Basically, this is a parcel of land on the south side of Stage Line, just west of the main entrance into Red Cedar Canyon. It's about a 2.4 acre parcel. The overall density for the multiple family zone property is about 26 to 27 units. They're proposing, there is one existing one-family residence. They're proposing 8 additional duplexes, and then the existing one-family residence may possibly be converted to a duplex. The issues, access will be off the existing driveway. It'll be a private road with public water system, because the water system will be looped. The reason for doing that is the water quality, and also fire suppression will be enhanced. The sewer system will be a private system, but built to city standards. So it's essentially the same as the city system, but it'll be, because it'll be under a private street, it'll be a private system until it gets into Stage Line Road, and then at that time, it'd be connected to the city system. The primary issue on this project is that there's a very deep sanitary sewer in Stage Line Road, now 30 feet deep, and the connection to that is an issue. There's been discussions between the city engineer and Mr. Heeb, the project engineer. We'd like to bring in a contractor to see their experience on how actually talk to, you know, there's 2 or 3 ways it could be handled. Of course, you want to try to do it in the most cost-effective way, but also something the city has to look at is what are the maintenance issues depending on what kind of connection that they make. We also want to have the most efficient maintenance considerations for the city of Hudson. So when we assume that system, we don't have very expensive. Now, this system to get in and fix is going to be expensive regardless, but you know, we try to minimize that consideration. So that's the main consideration. There are a few minor other issues with the water as far as the connection points and so forth, but those are more technical issues for the engineers to resolve. Mr. Heeb and Mr. Stout are here. Maybe Matt or Dick, if you just like to give a brief explanation of your project, and we can go from there.
where would you like me to do that?
Up here, please.
And the mic, this
Yeah.
mic is good, so. If you want to use that, you can.
Good evening, Matt Eve with ACA. Here is the site plan. I think that's pretty close to what you have in your packet. Stage Line Road, we're tying in. This is that, as Dane Arnold said, this is the location of the existing driveway into the house. So we will be using that and following, for the most part, close to the location where the existing is, and then extending it down to where we're putting in a cul-de-sac. So the red are the duplex units, obviously, and this is the existing house that will be converted.
Where are you tying into Stage Line for the sewer?
We're tying, there's an existing manhole, a little hard to see, but right here, so it's down a couple 100 feet from the driveway.
Okay.
And so what we'll be doing is we'll be open cutting the street here and tying in with the drop manhole. And we did meet with a couple different contractors, and we'll be putting a drop manhole structure there. And then then the sewer at this point from here on is 12 feet, 10 to 12 feet deep.
Okay.
Are these one-story, two-story?
There'll be, with the exception of the existing unit, the proposed ones are two-story units. Correct?
4 on slabs, or 2 are lookout and 2 are walkout. 3 bedroom, 2 bath, some 4 bedroom, 2 bath.
But there'll be two-story
Yes.
units.
Yes.
With some with basements, some with slabs, and some walk out, some with look out.
Yeah.
Is there any concern with the length of your proposed street here and having that cul-de-sac? I just, part of me, something jumps at me and says, should there be another access to this, or is there no issue that way, Denny? I mean, is
Well,
that length and the number of people that are on that, could that be constrictive in any way?
Fire chief gave his blessing on fire accessibility. This is pretty steep in here, otherwise there would be that possibility of connecting. You'd have a pretty steep driveway here, so we look at with the number of units being possibly your 17 or 18 units. We didn't think the density was to the point that to try to make a connection back. But again, this is the same standard as a normal cul-de-sac in the city, so the fire truck can get in and maneuver and get back out. So.
Okay.
Is there gonna be buffering in behind there, like with between Red Cedar
Well-
Canyon? Is there gonna be,
This is, you know,
As you can see on here, the little clouded areas are actually some of the trees, so there's actually some vegetation on
there, it exists, yeah, I mean,
But it
I
really drops off to the south.
understand, I live there, but I'm just
Okay,
curious
let me-
as to,
now, let me explain it. On this, basically, this portion of it, the houses are down in here. It's like a 60 or 70 foot area. This is a steeper bluff. It comes down. Then there's like a 40 or 50 foot area till you get to the back of the house, and that's all trees.
yeah,
Until you get down into this area, that new cul-de-sac with the
right.
houses, there's 3 or 4 houses, and those will be up closer to this area. But actually, there's a nice buffer area.
It'll stay.
Just south of this area.
And then what about a sidewalk consideration along that area?
Here,
Yes,
well, that's, again, some of this, organized, you're gonna have a sidewalk connecting to nowhere. I mean,
Yeah, I know.
I prefer to try to do it all at one time.
well, that's never gonna happen.
Well, then, why do you build a sidewalk to nowhere then?
Because eventually there has to be, eventually you gotta start getting sidewalks, whether it comes as we get development or it comes 5 years down the line, but eventually as we continue to annex in down Stage Line, sidewalks have to get created. It's 4 lanes there.
But there's nothing between Carmichael and this
Well,
property
the
yet.
hospital has, I understand that. I'm saying as it gets annexed in, we have an option. We have sidewalks get created as they get annexed in, or eventually it's gonna be assessing every home as we go along down the line 5 years from now, or 2 years from now, or whenever the town decides to get on board. So,
I guess if it
That's
was
a
me,
really
I'd want to
expensive
wait.
sidewalk.
Yeah, especially if it's not serving anything.
And especially in that area, to put a sidewalk in there along either side of, I have known, it's my parents' old home, so I'm familiar with the site. To put a sidewalk in on this side of the road, as it continues on to the north, would be, in the way that shoulder and ditch falls off, it'd be pretty difficult
okay,
on the west side of the road compared to if it went on the east.
okay.
I mean, the general thought was if the area between here and the hospital was brought in the city, that road is urbanized, then the sidewalk could be constructed all at one time for the
Okay.
full length.
Is there anyone here that wanna, Gary, do you have anything you'd like to add, or are you just?
I've got some questions.
Oh, well, come on up and ask them, if that's okay.
That buffer that,
Why don't you give us your name and address, please?
oh, my name is Gary Zimmerman. I live at number 1 Pinnacle Bay, which is inside Red Cedar Canyon. In fact, I think on that plot there, it's lot number 51, so it would be on the right-hand side of the map.
Okay,
It's kind of an irregular lot. Anyway, a number of concerns. The distance that was brought up by someone between the proposed townhomes and the houses there really isn't that great. That lot 50 probably isn't more than 20 feet or 30 feet from where the townhome is proposed to be built. There is a berm, not a berm, but there is an outlot that is controlled by Hans Hagen, I believe. That's about 30 feet wide that runs
Yep.
right across that.
right
So-
here, Gary?
So lot number 50, his garage is right up against that lot line, so it's pretty close. I have just some questions also. Are these rentals, or are these townhomes to be sold, or what? I know there's a for sale sign there. I could never understand what's going on with it, so.
Is it rental, or is it gonna be owner occupied?
Rentals for the immediate future.
Okay,
Are they gonna be consistent with everything else that's up there as far as the architecture and building price points, that sort of thing?
8 bedroom and 4 bedroom, and 2 baths, 2 cars attached, central air, fireplace.
Did you say garages too?
Yeah, 2 cars attached.
They're
That was a
required to
cons-
have a two-car garage.
Okay. The other concern, I think, just in general, that the people on that cul-de-sac have, and the other people on the left-hand side, is currently, we have kind of a buffer all the way to Stage Line Road, which is at night pretty nice. Now we're gonna have 2-story condos that are probably 10 to 15 feet above us as you look at the grading. And so we're gonna have lights coming out of all those things. It's just like having half a dozen spotlights put up there. I'm concerned about how that's gonna be played out. I don't know if there could be any berming done on that, or trees put into that area. But it's gonna change the complexion of what we have up there right now, that's for sure.
okay.
Any
Matt?
comments on that, or?
Well, I'd make a comment in the fact that, you know, Hans Hagen and Red Cedar Canyon has an opportunity to provide buffer. They're meeting the development criteria. Why are we holding them to a higher standard than what we are holding Red Cedar Canyon to a standard? Fair play is fair play.
Well, I agree with you totally. All of the areas up there have HOAs, homeowner associations that put standards in, and I'm just, I'm concerned that this won't have the same standards that we have.
And technically, I could have, according to the zoning, I could have put significantly more units up there, many, many more units up there. And I chose to do I looked at it as a semi-rural area, and so I chose to do a duplex.
Yeah, I'm not fighting it there. I mean, I think that
Significantly
the
less.
development, it's great. I just
Right.
want to make sure that it's going to be in addition to what we already have up there, and not something that's going to be an eyesore.
If it's an eyesore, it won't be there very long.
I hope.
It's not an easy business, and if you don't compete with nice stuff, you don't stick around, so.
That's all I have.
All right, thank you. Any other questions? Yes?
Just a quick question. Is there since we're talking about sidewalks, but is there sidewalks, you know, within this whole road going down to the,
No,
No,
I mean, it's along the road inside here?
no.
no.
Inside the development, inside his cul-de-sac, no, it's gonna be curb and gutter. That's what I-
Is that a safety concern if there's only one road to get into all of these, if people want to bike or walk or anything, or it's not part of the requirement?
Well, no, it's not required, because this isn't, you know, it's a development. I mean, if they want
Right.
to add sidewalks themselves as part of the development, but they won't be public sidewalks.
Right.
So if they want to add sidewalks themselves, that'll be part of their private development.
I think it makes for a very, I mean, because there is only one road going in all the way down, and if you think about having families or children or something, if you want to go out for a walk or something, it'd be nice. Encouraged.
There's nowhere to go.
Sorry?
There's nowhere to go.
No, inside here,
Oh, mm-hmm,
inside the development is my point.
mm-hmm. I see what you're saying.
Okay, any other questions? Okay. Anybody willing to make a motion?
I'll move to approve.
Okay. Is there a second? Any other comments or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. You're welcome. All right. Next, we have discussion, possible action on petition of, for annexation of 42 acres south of Mayor Road and west of Carmichael Road, Town of Troy, Lee family, posted on 2/1/27/15. Mr. Darnell.
Yeah, the city received a petition for annexation for about 42 acres located south of Mare Road and west of Carmichael Road. This property's been owned by the Lee family for a number of years. There's a number of issues. There's discussion tonight's not to develop a motion for or against annexation, but to identify potential issues for, to review. Essentially, you know, we'll do our standard review as far as wastewater treatment plant capacity, traffic. Mare Road itself will be an issue. I mean, from Carmichael Road to O'Keefe Road, basically it's been urbanized when Carmichael Road went in, but once you go west of that, you're in a rural section, which a lot of the street surface is falling apart. What's the potential cost of improving that road system? Part of this area is in the National Scenic Riverway and currently is the land use designation's rural residential, which means they cannot do smaller than 1 acre lots. The lots have to be at least 200 feet wide. They could be on a public system, but I guess the question is how large a lots are you going to have and put them on a public system and make them efficient and be able to market the product. So some of those are some of the issues that we'll need to take a look at as we look through here. If you look on your sheets that I handed out, the larger ones, this is a little bit larger copy, but if you look on the back, basically is the survey of the property, but on the other side is a sketch concept of a potential subdivision. The Lees would, if the property's annexed, an annexation agreement can be made between the Lees and the city. They would look at selling the property to Creative Homes, and Creative Homes has proposed this at least as an illustration of, so it's 107 one-family lots and then 24 multiple-family units on the eastern side. So I guess tonight simply is identifying any issues that you want city staff to take a look at in regards to this annexation.
My number one concern is, you already mentioned, is water treatment. Since we've expressed that concern already when Hans Hagen was looking at the development at the golf course. There's not too many cul-de-sacs. I'm so tired of cul-de-sacs right now. Right now, so, I mean, 2 cul-de-sacs is a lot better than 15 or 9, so.
I have a concern with Mayor Road, just, that really does need to be addressed. is that, would be the eastern portion, western portion of that road. Needs a lot of work.
And even the connectors to Mayor
Yeah.
are in kind of rough shape.
So, and on the east corner there, are they 100, did you say they need to be 200 or?
West side.
West side, they need to be 200 or 100?
Well, under the current NR 118 standards for the Lower St. Croix National Scenic Riverway, that area is designated as rural residential. I discussed that when that was proposed. I discussed that, took an argument to the Natural Resources Board that that area ought to be designated same as the city of Hudson, basically river town. So if it was annexed, we can do lots as standard that can be placed on, reasonably placed on public sanitary sewer and water. Even though I had the Wisconsin DNR staff actually agree with me, it was voted down by the Natural Resources Board like a 4-to-1 or 5 or 6-to-1 vote.
So that will be an issue in that section.
And that's something that the developer would have to pursue with the Department of Natural Resources, where they can get that designation changed or not.
That wouldn't be a city issue.
We will not initiate it, no.
Yeah. Okay. Anyone else? Questions? Looks like a good plan.
And you raised good issues in your memo. I mean, I think those are all issues of concern.
So likely, this will probably take, for staff analysis, about a month, so this won't come back immediately. Preparation of a draft annexation agreement the city attorney and I would prepare, along with some cost estimates on upgrades to Mare Road and some other issues would all be looked at, so.
Anyone else?
One last question, would there be any proposed, maybe this is ahead of the game here, but park areas, I see you've got some holding ponds there, but park land, I mean, hey, there's a lot of houses in there.
That's something we can take a look at.
How about sidewalks?
No, that would come back if the property is actually subdivided. When subdivision, if it's annexed, they go into the process of zoning. It'd be, if it's annexed to the city, it'll come in as one-family residential. Currently, they're proposing multiple family on the east side. That's actually designated as commercial in our comprehensive land use plan, so that'd have to be addressed. But the more detailed things would come after the annexation. We look at subdivision zoning issues.
I have one other thing, maybe that's one of the more detailed, when you said sidewalks. The width of the roads, the other, Heritage Greens is very narrow, and I know it's, the developers and stuff are similar, so I would want to assure that we don't have that narrow road again, because when it snows, we have heavy snow, there's nothing we can do there, so.
Danny, when you brought up the wastewater, I mean, we did a calculation based on how many places were going into the golf course if that was developed, and can you just give a rough calculation if there are 107 singles and 24 multiples, how many gallons per day would go, or is that way premature?
No, that's pretty easy. You take 131 times 900 and you got your gallons. So.
Well, it's
about 113,000 gallons a day, so.
well, it's quite high then.
117,900.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I mean, that's a review. That seems high for some, even my 900's a little high on that.
Okay, well, no,
It's a very easy calculation.
but there's some usage there then, I guess is the point of my remark.
Yeah, I might be quite high on that.
Did we have anything designated for this area, Denny, as a potential when we were doing our plan?
We had considered as a potential when we looked at it, but again, the calculations were, we took the calculations based on land already in the city of Hudson.
Okay.
Okay, what undeveloped areas are, what's that potential for, because they're the ones paying taxes, they're the ones supporting on impact fees and so forth. So what the city has to be very careful about is not giving our capacity away to somebody coming into the city, that jeopardizes their ability to develop within the city once, because they've already been here. So for that, that's something we have to look at, but
Okay. Anything else that you need to look at? Is there anything for future agenda?
Just our next meeting is February 12th. We've got a couple of public hearings on conditional use permits.
February 12th, ladies and gentlemen. If there's no other business,
I move to adjourn.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
We're adjourned, thank you.